Yo, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Zai. You already know what time it is, man. And you know, a lot of people were commenting on that last video and trying to figure out potentially where it was going to, and it was just mostly to bring awareness to certain things that were taking place in social media. And I get it, like, you know, a lot of people like to mention views, and understand, if I got on here and I talked about Lefty Gunplay dropping the gun and if in his name, and if I got on here and talked about Icon beefing with such and such and Negra and all that, I can guarantee views will come to the channel, because predominantly my channel is made up of a lot of people that live generally a lifestyle that I led, or they're opposition to it, or they're just opposition, period. But or they just support the channel. But for the most part, I would get mostly for the most part a lot of views, and it may not be according to a lot of people's channel that's been throwing everything at their channel in order to make it progress. But if I was to get on here and talk about things of that nature, yeah, I can guarantee you I would get the views that a lot of other people got. But I refuse to do that, just for the simple fact that it makes for good sensational, I guess what you would call hood news. But in the scheme of things, it means absolutely nothing to nobody outside of that general area, or those potentially interested in what goes on in the inner cities. Other than that, it's not things that I really choose to want to cover. I want to get a lot deeper. So like, even on this situation with TikTok, and like, you know, and this is no shot at China or anybody else, but I notice certain communities and a lot of people that tend to lean a certain way, they were praising China for China essentially bringing the United States to a halt, which I was arguing against that vehemently on everybody's comment. Most of them got I won't say blocked, but you know, they were flagged because they might have been potentially not degrading, but people were sensitive to what I was saying. But that's besides the point. TikTok seems to be on its own little thing right now, and I'll just say that. But the whole reason I brought China in is because there's a chick that's on TikTok right now talking about never mix snow with dirt. And then and what's funny is, because when you look at her, I don't think nobody would really want to mix dirt with her, period. Like, I know generally who she's aiming at, because people like to say you know, blacks tend to mess with whatever. But you know, that even that's bull, because I've seen, yeah, you know, you got some food that tend to, you know, whatever, but then you got the ones that be dealing with these chicks that are borderline supermodels. But that's besides the point, because a lot of racists have experienced that level of, you know, but so this chick in particular, she's been all over TikTok, and that's her argument right there. Never mix snow with dirt. But she looks like I don't know, dude. She, you know, they said that, you know, back in the days they had females that were Scandinavian that were beautiful, and for the most part, like, I've seen pictures and depictions of certain, and it's true. And I've never been one to really focus on race, period, as far as like whether she white or she's this or she's that. If I'm interested, I'm interested. But you know, now it's like a certain, it's always been a discord amongst races, especially when it comes to black males going out with certain races, and there's always been a sort of stigmatism to it, as far as like it was imposed by, you know, females of the same complexion, and then just people that generally just didn't like the mixing of races. But this chick in particular, she just seems it's laughable, because when you go on TikTok and just look for the chick that says never mix snow with dirt, her face features and everything, it's nothing really to write home about. Like, it's not something that I would bring to my mom, like, look it, dude, I got this. It's just not that. There's so many white women that are extremely beautiful out there that you could really aim focus at it, and really, if you're really trying to get some of caliber, you can aim your look at the gingers now. You know, they're on board. You know what I mean? I know a lot of it is just a joke, especially amongst them, you know what I mean, and not in a mean way, but you know, they're embracing the fact of the whole ginger thing and whatever. And it's fun, you know, it's nothing, you know, disrespectful about it. Everybody's just having fun, except the ones that are extremely too sensitive. But like that I can get. But this chick in particular, like, when you look at her, and I implore everybody that has TikTok to go look at her. Like, she's nothing to write home about at all. And I'm sure, like, in a, you know, in a trailer park type of way, she might be actually viable for those who can't move outside of that. But to people that are, you know, have multiple access towards women that are extremely beautiful, especially like in Los Angeles and other like Texas. There's a lot of spots, you know, that they got white females that are extremely beautiful, but then again, you also got black females that are extremely beautiful, Mexicanas that are in abundance in California, extremely beautiful. And then, you know, you can't forget the Salvadorians and like everything that goes into California as a whole. New York with the Dominicans, and there's some fine ass Dominicans. I've just never been with one, but there's some fine ones, you know, the Boricuas, whatever. But you have all these choice of women to pick, and then you got this one that comes online and assumes that she's actually on somebody's radar outside of her uncle and maybe her, you know, her father. And this is not hate speech or to inflame anybody. It's laughable, but the whole reason I brought this about is I want to speak on this because it seems to be a going trend on TikTok. And let me just correlate it real quick before I go too far outside of what I was trying to actually say. The whole thing with people is pumping up China. China did this. China's gonna make the US pay for what they did, and the tariffs ain't gonna mean nothing. China found out that threatening the United States with certain things and undermining certain things, exposing things that have already been known, that they were going to hurt the US. And when they figured out that didn't work, they're like, okay, we'll drop this in cheaper and we'll still be able to ship through here. And when that didn't work, they went to other tactics, and they're essentially doing what the United States back in the days, and in some factions still do to this day, is pit one against another. And you figure, if I can go on TikTok right now and say something that may not even necessarily be about inbreeding, but say things that would make one assume that, which it would be that, but it's just you have to say it in a certain manner to where they don't really pick up. Even like when you do on Instagram, you put like all these little letters and try to switch things up so the system doesn't necessarily pick it up. TikTok will pick it up, but yet this trend has been going on YouTube. Like, you got chicks that's like, oh, I'm a white queen, and shout out to the white kings and all this other nonsense that's going on. And for the most part, it's nothing wrong against considering yourself a king or a queen. Everybody should consider themselves higher than they might actually be. It's, you know, the whole fake it till you make it or whatever, if you want to assume that's the same thing. But yeah, it's the whole fake it till you make it. So I have nothing against it. Some people are up in arms about it. I'm not in particularly I'm not against it, you know, to each is their own. But I noticed there's a trend, but this whole mixing snow with dirt, and then you got multiple people on the internet talking about white this and white that and white this and black fatigue and all this other stuff that's going on. And TikTok seems to not really care about anything. They don't really care about the inflammatory comments that's made towards blacks. They don't care about the inflammatory comments that's made towards Hispanics. They don't care about nothing outside of these people that are essentially putting themselves above the fray. You know what I mean? And it's outright being racist, but yet TikTok refuses to, you know, correct it. And they refuse to correct it, but I've already figured out why. Like, the whole correlation between China controls that. That's why there's certain things that Chinese people will say on there that it can't be a certain way, because then it won't work. You know what I mean? It's like, and they'll go against China, and China being China, not gonna allow them to speak on them in any way outside of anything that's not positive. Now, this is China doing their best to create discord amongst everybody else. They're allowing this stuff. Usually it would be shut down, but they're allowing people to continue talking recklessly on the internet, and they see racists constantly going at each other in the comments, and they're not even blocking them. Like, I've said stuff in other videos that had nothing to do with race. It was just about, you know, certain things, but they trip on that. But yet these people are outright being racist towards each other. Not even towards each other, it's just one side just heavily putting out propaganda, and one creating their rebuttals to it, which for the most part is funny. And TikTok is doing absolutely nothing about it. They're not blocking accounts, they're not shutting down. There's been accounts on TikTok have been shut down for a lot less. This is outright racism, and they're just allowing people to spew the nonsense on social media. Not on social media, but TikTok, period. And there's nothing being done about it. They're allowing certain radical views to go on without being checked, that only further inflame a situation that's like a boiling pot. Like, people could say what they want, but even with the whole political situation, they're trying to reach certain demographics, and it's not working. They haven't figured a way to reach out and be able to, bring these people in, because they're not trying to hear it. It's a whole different way of thinking. A lot of people are seeing people's true colors. Like, this is nothing new to me. Like, I know racism has been there. I know the difference between racist and prejudice, and some people are prejudiced, but this is just outright racism, and it's being allowed to be put out there because it's an agenda. This is not only to expose. I say China's playing not a double-edged sword, but they're playing this in a devil's advocate, because they're allowing this to go out there because they want to create discord, but they also want to expose the fact that there's a lot of people in the United States that are extremely racist, and they've been closet racist for a long time, mad because they couldn't be outright racist, but now they're being allowed to spew their stupidity on social media unchecked, outside of the 2 Klan members that got unalived. But you brought that up on yourself, and that seems to be the consequence of anybody that's that stupid to go into a situation where it's all blacks and you spew that nonsense that you're spewing. You're gonna get removed from this planet extremely fast, and that's just because people are not on the same page that certain people were in the past. There's no kumbayas with most people. Most people are looking for outright smoke. They're just looking for smoke, and it's not unwarranted. It's just people speaking stupid on the internet and have no idea that people are actively looking for you. Like, you've had people getting their address exposed constantly. You're saying the wrong thing, and then these people are crying about it. No, you chose to think that you can go on the internet and say what you want to say without any consequence to everybody's action. Blacks have been paying it for years. Hispanics have been paying it for years. Some white has been paying it for years because certain situations. But that's all I really want to say, dude. I think it's a plot. I think it's a way to inflame something that's already been boiling and just waiting to explode. And I think that this is just the beginning of a lot of things. This ain't warmongering, hate mongering, nothing, because like I said, I have nothing against anybody. I don't really care. I don't even like getting into the whole race baiting thing. I'm not up in arms about bull, because at the end of the day, if you're not physically going out to take care of somebody that's outright disrespecting you in that way, it ain't even use talking about it. If you're not going to be on the front line pushing that issue, it's no real reason to talk about it. Like, you can get on social media and make videos and just point out the discord amongst different people, but if you're not actively going out there to do what you need to do as far as making an example out of people that continue to disrespect you, what's the use? And then you got to aim your angst towards people that are actually being disrespectful, and in a way to where it's threatening. Don't just go out and harm an average person that had nothing to do with it, because like I said in a prior video, there's a lot that are actually on your side, and they're not just faking it to make it or just want to be kumbaya, because they're actually on your side, dude, and they're actively pushing things in order to further something that you did by with the whole civil rights thing, allowing everybody to fall up under that umbrella. They're trying to return that. And I'm not saying like people should just let their guard down, but just know who's with you and who's against you. And yeah, you got to strengthen yours first before you can strengthen anybody, but just recognize, dude, the ones that are with you, they're with you, and the ones that ain't, push them to the side, because they don't need to be in your space anyway, and that's just life. But like I said, I'm your boy Zod. Go check this chick out. Don't Make Snow with Dirt on TikTok, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And then come to find out, one of her cousins that came on her fifth cousin said that their family they have people in their family that are mixed, whatever. So it's just, what I'm saying? That's that, whatever. But yeah, be vigilant. With all the stuff that's going on, just be vigilant. I'm your boy Zod, and yeah, I cover some other stuff, but I just don't want to get into this whole pop culture rap dudes that are beefing and their homies and all this. Like, that's just irrelevant to me. I'll leave that for channels that are just begging for views. With that being said, I'm your boy Zod, and I'm out.